Hey everyone, welcome to Crypto Quickly Episode 7. I'm Regicoin and today we're diving into XRP and its white paper. So my central thesis when it comes to crypto is that you need to read white papers to actually know what you're talking about. A lot of white papers are pretty accessible, but some can be very technical. If you don't know the white paper, you're just investing in a meme or something you've heard others talk about. I don't want people to get scammed, so I preach, read white papers. XRP has almost always been around once we got beyond just Bitcoin. It's always been very controversial. I used to really not like Ripple because I had friends who lost money in it. But I aim to be fair now, so I don't hate it anymore. The main controversy is the SEC lawsuit against Ripple Labs, alleging XRP was sold as an unregistered security. This is pretty common. Seems like you're not a good crypto unless you've been sued by the SEC as an unregistered security at this point. My main beef with Ripple is that it's not decentralized. Decentralization is very important. With Bitcoin, there's no central bank issuing coins. The blockchain system is how new Bitcoin is created through mining. What I don't like about Ripple is that Ripple Labs holds all the XRP. It was pre-mined, so when Ripple came out, Ripple Labs had all of it and now they distribute it. As an investor, you have to put all your faith in Ripple Labs as to when they'll release more to flood the market. With Doge you have to deal with whales, but I think Ripple is even worse because you're dealing with a private company that has its own interests. The lack of decentralization raises several concerns. Central control. Ripple Labs has significant control over the network. Manipulation risks. Centralized control may allow manipulation or favoritism. Trust issues. Users must trust Ripple Labs to act in the network's best interest. Security vulnerabilities. A centralized structure can create single points of failure. Regulatory risks. Centralization can lead to increased regulatory scrutiny. Limited participation. Centralization of validators can limit diversity in network governance. Innovation stifling. A centralized approach may stifle innovation. While XRP offers speed and efficiency, its centralized aspects can undermine user trust, security, and blockchain principles. This can hinder broader adoption in the decentralized finance ecosystem. Now let's get into the XRP white paper. It's called the Ripple Protocol Consensus Algorithm, and it's only 8 pages, but super dense. The white paper starts with an abstract explaining that while several consensus algorithms exist for the Byzantine generals problem in distributed payment systems, many suffer from high latency due to synchronous communication requirements. The Ripple protocol aims to circumvent this by using collectively trusted subnetworks within the larger network. The introduction discusses the challenges faced by distributed payment systems, grouped into 3 categories: correctness, agreement, and utility. Correctness refers to discerning between valid and fraudulent transactions. Agreement is about maintaining a single global truth in a decentralized system. Utility relates to the usefulness of the system, often simplified to latency. The paper then defines key components of the Ripple protocol. Server, an entity running Ripple server software that participates in consensus. Ledger, a record of account balances representing the network's ground truth. Last closed ledger, the most recent ledger ratified by consensus. Open ledger, the current operating status of a node. Unique node list, UNL, a set of other servers that a node queries for consensus. Proposer, any server broadcasting transactions for inclusion in consensus. The Ripple Protocol Consensus Algorithm, RPCA, is applied every few seconds by all nodes to maintain network correctness and agreement. Once consensus is reached, the current ledger is considered closed and becomes the last closed ledger. The RPCA proceeds in rounds. Each server proposes a set of valid transactions. Servers vote on the validity of all proposed transactions. Transactions receiving sufficient votes move to the next round. The final round requires 80% agreement from a server's UNL. Agreed-upon transactions are applied to the ledger, which is then closed. The white paper claims that correctness is maintained as long as fewer than 20% of nodes in a UNL are faulty. Even with more than 20% Byzantine failures, the consensus process may fail, but fraudulent transactions still won't be confirmed. For agreement, the paper states that all nodes must reach consensus on the same set of transactions, regardless of their UNLs. To prevent network forks, there's a required minimum overlap between UNLs of different nodes. Regarding utility, the paper discusses convergence, ensuring the consensus process terminates in finite time. It mentions heuristics and procedures to enhance utility, such as latency bounds, a mandatory proposal window, and multiple consensus rounds with increasing agreement thresholds. The white paper concludes by stating that the RPCA allows for secure and reliable transactions in seconds, with provable security up to certain bounds. While these bounds aren't the strongest in Byzantine consensus literature, they allow for rapid convergence and network flexibility. Now, here's my take on all this. The Ripple white paper is very technical and focuses heavily on the consensus algorithm. While it makes some impressive claims about security and efficiency, it doesn't address my main concern, centralization. The paper talks about UNLs and how nodes choose which other nodes to trust, but it doesn't change the fact that Ripple Labs has significant control over the XRP supply and network governance. This centralization isn't necessarily a deal breaker for everyone, but it's important to understand when considering XRP as an investment. The consensus algorithm described seems solid in theory, but remember that in practice, the security and decentralization of the network depend heavily on how UNLs are managed and how much influence Ripple Labs retains. Another thing to note is that while the white paper discusses how banks or financial institutions might use the Ripple network for fast, low-cost transactions, it doesn't necessarily mean XRP as a cryptocurrency will increase in value. The technology could be adopted without driving up XRP's price. In conclusion, the XRP white paper presents an interesting consensus algorithm that could enable fast, efficient transactions. However, it doesn't address the centralization concerns that many in the crypto community have about XRP. As always, do your own research, understand what you're investing in, and don't just rely on hype or promises of quick gains. That's it for this episode of Crypto Quickly. Remember, reading white papers is crucial, but also consider the broader context and potential issues not addressed in the technical documentation. Stay informed, stay skeptical, and I'll see you in the next episode.